What is it that's missing?
Elaine Cook, SD 23. I think I'm 83% sure that we added military flags. U.S. flag, Texas flag, and military flags.
Oh, you're talking about 2 or 3.
The last item
It's on 2 of 3.
Can we take a 1-minute deal here? Let me take a look and see what's going on.
Yeah, it says other than U.S.
Okay.
We've got military flags
there in
in
the
it.
middle. I was just listening and not reading, so I didn't catch it. It's there in the middle.
Okay. All right, so we've got the right document. Okay.
Yay.
Identity theft and data privacy, freedom of speech and religious practice, gender identity and government policy, family gender issues, human sexuality, protect minors until age of consent, definition of marriage and family, state authority over marriage.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Stephen Callis, SD8. I believe the language that we added was removing the requirement of licensing from the state.
What are you trying to say here, Stephen? Are we on state authority over marriage?
We are saying that the state should not require permission from the state in order to marry.
We support withholding jurisdiction from the federal courts in cases involving family law, especially definition of change of marriage. What is it you're objecting to?
The last phrase and the requirement of licensing from the state.
We support withholding.
I'm just making sure that that's clear, that that's what it says, is that we are not going
That's
to
what it says.
require. Okay, very good. Thank
All right,
you.
brother. Nullify unconstitutional ruling, spousal benefit, no-fault divorce, adoption, child rights. This is where I wanted to check. I think there's another plank that covers this in education or health and human services. We call it Texas legislature passed legislation to protect privacy in public schools and government buildings by ensuring that multi-use facilities include showers, changing rooms, and bathrooms are designed or designated for and used only by persons based on the person's biological sex. Is that covered in education?
Mr. Chairman, Kerry Cheshire, Senate District 10, Education Subcommittee Chair, we chose to not address as much of this because we wanted to keep this blank here, 216.
Okay. Thank you, Carrie. I have not yet reviewed education. The editors are still working on it kind of late, so I hadn't had a chance to read that yet, so thank you. Okay. Indeed, transitioning A, I want to add a few words. The extension or statute of limitations for medical malpractice suits from 2 years to 10 years, and then put in the following, or until the individual is 26, whichever is longer.
Mr. Chairman,
Or until the individual is 26, whichever is longer.
Second that, had no problem with
Okay?
that. Longer?
Whichever is longer. So if they're teachers that are transitioning little tiny kids, I don't want that to wear off when they're still 16. Okay? Without objection, we'll add that. 218,
I'd like to
keep
make a
prisons and
motion.
jails single
Yeah.
sex.
Tamagun, SD 9, I would like to make a motion.
Yes, Tama.
I'd like to amend the title line just to be the word detransitioners and take off the Bill of Rights. That was the objection in our SD, is that we can't give individual groups of people a Bill of Rights. But we do want to help them, so we do still want
Mr.
the
Chairman
plan.
Pickens, you okay with that?
That'd be okay if they want to remove it. I
Just
like it,
detransition.
but I'm willing to go with it.
Okay, thank you. So it'll just be detransitioners, we'll just change the title. Thank you. Keep prisoners in jails single sex. Pro-life. Abolish abortion. I was proposing, since we're talking specifically about basically all the ways that people are pregnant, that we move the IVF plank from Health and Human Services to this section, to abolish abortion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
J.R. Haas, SD7. I was on the HHS committee, and I think because IVF is a medical procedure, I think it's relevant to that section. I like the chairman of the subcommittee for state affairs who says we should have pro-life reiterated throughout our platform, so I don't think it hurts to show that this procedure, which is unethical, should be called out as such within Health and Human Services as well.
Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, we'll leave it, and we haven't been over that section yet, so we'll just leave it there and we'll take it up when we get to Health and Human Services.
Mr.
Inviolability.
Chairman, Patrick Mondolin, SD 25, like to propose a new plank.
We're not, that'll be at the end of the section.
Yes, sir.
Inviolability of life and fundamental right to life. Land use, property annexation, and I want to propose an amendment to change this to property annexation and de-annexation. And then at the end of what is written, I want to add the following. In any city with a population over 400,000, comma, any neighborhood can elect to de-annex and reincorporate as a new city for any reason, comma, provided they receive at least 50% of the vote of those voting in a regular election from those within the defined de-annexation boundary. Of those voting, period. No, in a regular election, no period, sorry. In a regular election from those within the defined de-annexation boundary. Election.
How do you want me to spell de-annex?
Uh,
That maybe, or
I put it, yeah,
or a
D.
hyphen?
I put a hyphen. The very last one should be, the very last one should be defined de-annexation boundaries. The second one, gotcha. Yeah. I think that
Mr. Chair,
encapsulates it.
is it in there now?
I believe so, yeah.
I would like to do, it's more
Are you
of a
speaking to
different-
it or are you seconding it?
I will
want an
second it, Mr.
informational
Chairman, so he can
question
speak on it.
first Before I second it.
Well, you've got a second.
Point of information, okay.
Okay.
So, this is an interesting topic or change, but the point is, what is a neighborhood? I mean, I can be in a 6-city block and I can consider my neighborhood me and my neighbors on either side of it.
Yes, you could.
That's right. This
And
is.
if you want to break off and form your own government with all of the things that attend to that in 6-city blocks, you're richer than I am.
Utilities, everything else. So,
You would have to provide sewer, the honest answer is you probably
Police
contract,
support,
you
everything.
probably contract for all those things from the city that you just left, so.
Okay, so but before we continue, I would like to, Elaine is the one that actually is our expert on land use. I'd like her to speak on that before we get into any specific further motions on this if we want.
Okay, well, hold on. Before we do that, since it's moved and seconded, let me explain what I'm doing.
Okay, that's good.
So the purpose of
Elaine
this.
Cook is SB 23 as the resident expert.
Elaine, hold
I
on.
think this is a wonderful
Elaine.
addition. I
Okay.
think this is a wonderful addition.
Thank you. Okay. The reason I'm putting this in is in California, they're putting in a bunch of rules to basically to increase density. They've adopted that in Austin, and what they're doing is they're saying they're changing basically the definitions for single-family housing to say that if you have, all you need is 1,500 square feet. So they're not changing the zoning per se, which would require a vote of city council. They're just saying you can, if you have 1,500 square feet, you can build a house. So if you have a half-acre lot and you sell it, whoever buys it without going through a zoning change has the right to build 5 houses on that lot. So that's how they're trying to increase density. It's going to destroy neighborhoods in big cities. And that's part of the purpose. I mean, the increase of density all plays to the hands, into the hands of the Democrats. This is what they want. So I've been trying to noodle, and they're doing it in Dallas too, so this is why it came up for me. I'm trying to noodle around a way to restrict them, and so I'm pursuing a different avenue where we basically circumscribe the defined things that a large city can do to just basic services, but that's much more complicated. There's a precedent for this in East Baton Rouge, where East Baton Rouge de-annexed, and they went through about a 7-year fight, but they won their court case about a year ago, so there is precedent that can happen. The city of Buckhead, or the neighborhood of Buckhead, is trying to do this in Atlanta right now. Looks like they're going to win, but they're still in a fight. And so what this will do, ultimately, it'll hang a Damocles sword over the heads of very blue, very liberal city councils, because they could end up losing huge neighborhoods that provide a lot of taxes. So it'll help serve as a check against some of the runaway crazy ideas that I have to face. So what we'll do in Dallas, I'm looking at like a 16 square mile neighborhood. Neighborhood is loosely defined. You ask a good question, Dan. What is a neighborhood? It's going to be whatever the people who file a petition to de-annex say it is, and they have to define very precisely exactly what area they're proposing to de-annex, and then the people within that area will get to vote. So that's what it's going to be. Gina, do you have a question?
I do. For the reincorporation and becoming a new city, so in unincorporated areas, there are some places that have been annexed.
Yep.
And they, and it's particularly in my area,
Yes.
they have annexed their backyards. So
Yep.
their house is in an unincorporated, but their backyard is in a.
Is not?
Is not. And
Yep.
so they are responsible to 3 different organizations
Yeah.
to pay taxes and all
Well,
of the utilities.
that kind
blah,
of
blah,
thing
blah.
is what's addressed in
So-
the part of it that was already there. My part's just about de-annexation.
Well, I'm talking about, so if they wanted to de-annex, then what this is stating is that they would have to, their backyard would have to become a city. And so what I'm wondering is, could
What I'm
we
talking
incorporate,
about, what I'm talking about in this amendment would not apply to your circumstance.
is there a way that we could make it? You're
No.
very smart.
No, there is not. That's not what this is about. Terry?
Terry Harper, Senate District 21. Can I just kind of speak on this for a minute?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Forced annexation's what got me into this, where we're at right now.
Right.
In politics about 10 years ago. And with the help of Senator Campbell and Senator Connie Burton, we managed to get a bill passed to slow it down and stop it, but only in cities over 500,000. It took a second piece of legislation where we got it basically for everyone. Often, this would give us the opportunity to undo some of the damage those cities done. A lot of them took in great masses of land,
Yep.
a lot of time often existing rural subdivisions, and the only thing the property owners got for us was higher taxes, but no additional services.
Yeah, that's exactly what East Baton Rouge did, because they were
I
more
like
rural.
this. I really like it, and I'm kind of a rebellious guy, as you know.
That is very true.
I think it's just a great opportunity to throw a little mud in their face, so.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
support it completely.
Good, I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, Patrick Londo on SD 25, would it be,
Hold on. I'm recognizing Mr. Pickens. I appreciate
I
you
would like
shouting
to
out,
move-
but when I call on somebody, that's who's going to talk next.
Yeah,
Mr.
I would like
Pickens.
to, now that I understand what's going on, and it sounds great to me, I got my expert that says it's great, I'd like to move to amend, and my amend is 400,000 to 100,000. This is a great thing. We got a lot of areas of medium-sized cities that could also use this. So why not go to 100,000? Why 400,000?
I would not accept that as a friendly amendment, but of course, you can move to amend as you see fit. So,
Mr. Chairman, Stephen Callis,
there's a
SD.
movement
Second.
and a second from Mr. Callis that we drop it down to 100,000. Mr. Pickens, would you like to speak to your amendment?
There are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of medium-sized cities that are on what I call a land grab problem. They're really trying to stuff around them. Where I'm in Abilene, Abilene is not growing as fast as North Texas, but it is growing considerably faster than the average area in the state. I would just as soon be able to cap it. It's got about 130,000 people in it at the moment. And the county's about 175, but they're out grabbing. I just as soon be able to de-annex anything over 100,000 and do the same thing that you're trying to do on other cities. And now I understand what's going on. I'm all for reducing it to 100,000.
Okay. Anyone speaking in opposition to the decrease? Yep, Carter.
Yeah, Carter Thomas, SD 18. I love this. I live so far out in the country that, I think everyone should have that freedom. However, my only concern, it's not speaking against it, I'll go with the wishes of the committee. Have we thought about the logistic problems with the tax base, smaller folks, smaller towns breaking down? I would think that you have to have maybe more than 100,000 to be able to logistically support this. Is that what your thoughts were?
Yeah, so since you've invited me to testify, I'm going to testify. I have thought about that, and that's the reason I have it at 400,000. I originally started at 500,000, in which case it would only be 6 cities in Texas that this would apply to. If you move it, or no, 5 cities, excuse me, if you move it down to 400,000, then it's 6 cities. If you drop it all the way down to 100,000, I know it's over 20 cities, but I don't know how many. It's going to be a lot. Partially, I'm thinking about management of the legislature and the vote, and if it only affects the 6 big cities, I'm a lot more likely to get something through. If it's going to be affecting people all over the state, and there's going to be a lot of cities all over the state where 100,000 applies, much more likely to get pushback. So that's why I don't want it to be the smaller ones right out of the box. I will also say that there is a law that was passed. I've talked to Morgan Meyer's office about this. There is a law that's passed in 21 that gives cities in Texas the right to de-annex, but there's a very narrow path to do that. It's basically and I don't know what else is included, but the main reason they passed is so if a big city is defunding their police, then you could have a de-annexation. So the law already exists on the books. What I want to do is expand, well, basically remove the standards for how and who decides to de-annex. So in our case, the pushback is going to be in Dallas, and it would probably be true in all the blue cities, as it is true in Atlanta, is that a very wealthy neighborhood will move out, and that will hurt all the other parts of the neighborhood. Yeah, that's the point. So you better think real carefully before you attack the property rights of the people in these neighborhoods, and in my case, the constant votes at City Hall to take all the money that comes into the city and put into neighborhoods that are the rest of the city, and none of it ever comes back into my neighborhood. So we don't get the city services we're paying for. That's actually the reason that Buckhead is doing it, and it's the reason that I'm doing it too. So those things may or may not apply in smaller cities to the same extent. I get the fact, and I appreciate the fact that you want the right to do it because it's a freedom kind of thing in the way I'm looking at it. But that's why I'm against it, because it complicates the fight of actually getting anything passed. Mr. Callis.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the gentleman's amendment and change the number to 250,000, which I think gives you a lot closer to what you're looking for. Unfortunately, Mr. Pickens is going to be left hanging.
I think that encompasses Waco. I think the cutoff is right in there. So that's
My
about how
city of
small we
McKinney
could
and
go.
Frisco are on the cusp of that right now, and I'd love nothing more than have that.
Who is?
My city of McKinney and our neighboring Frisco are right on the cusp of that, and I'd like nothing more than have that leverage over both of those cities.
I wish I could move to those cities. Those are good
We'd be glad to have you, by the
compared to
way.
what Dallas has. My God. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Patrick Von Dolen's SD 25. I'd like to propose an amendment.
I'm sorry, that's out of order right now. We have an amendment to an amendment on the floor. All right, so we're going to vote on 250, yes for that. A no is to leave Mr. Pickens' amendment at 100. All in favor, 250, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Nay. The ayes have it, so it'll be 250. Now we're going to vote on whether or not it's 250 or the 400 that I have in there. All in favor of the amendment to 250, say aye. Aye. All in favor of leaving it 400, say nay. Nay. Oh, you guys are killing me. 250 it is.
I was with you.
I know. Yeah, Peter.
Mr. Chairman, Peter Ventura, SD 17. I'd like to amend.
Can you speak into the mic, please, Peter?
SD 17, Peter Ventura. I'd like to amend the number of 50% to 51%.
50% plus 1?
Plus 1, that would be agreeable, yes.
50% plus 1. I will accept that, and we'll make that change. If there's not any other discussion, we'll vote on the addition of this. All in favor of the addition in yellow, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Patrick Von Dolen, SD
I
25.
won one.
Congratulations, Patrick Von Dolen, SD 25.
Yeah, Patrick.
Proposed an amendment to the language there, just for clarification, as you addressed so eloquently in the project density for all major metropolitan areas. Most cities are calling it infill development zone, or IDZs. And I propose or reject the annexation, or infill development zones, IDZ in parentheses, to add there. That this is the measure by which you address it.
Where do you want to put it?
Reject the annexation, after reject the annexation.
After reject.
Hold on, because we gotta go back and fix this, because this is.
Into what?
Infill development zones. The acronym is IDZ.
Well, hold on, let me get this fixed.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yep. Thank you, Patrick.
Including infill development zones.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be in the parenthetical. It'll work. If there's any objection to that, or just including that language? So without objection, we'll add that change to this plan. Okay. Thanks, Patrick.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I'd like to, are we finished with this one?
Yes, we
Okay.
are.
Can we go to 220, please? Because on our committee, we approved some language, and it is here in the document.
223?
220. Based on testimony, we had taken out the word after fertilization. So you're pretty close to it on the cursor. Go over, and it says, and oppose legislation that discriminates against any preborn children. We had taken that out of the document based on testimony, to be consistent with what was happening in another.
Okay. Do you know what she's talking about?
Mr. Chairman, I can clarify, Mr. Chairman.
Hold on. She's got the floor. Just let her. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. That was removed. When we turned it in, it was removed.
And that's supposed to be removed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Pickens.
The whole document is not right. The next section on HOA, it doesn't contain any of the changes. We don't know what's in here and what isn't. It's not correct, and this is not what was passed last. I can tell you that. So it's all not good. I mean, I'm looking at the final document. And
Okay.
It's totally different than what's up here.
Okay.
Let me, oh, yeah, because this is where we did the
It's
numbers.
all,
So it was right up until this point, and now it's gone
well,
wrong?
I'm not sure it was right up to this point.
Well, 220 was incorrect also.
To what?
220, the one that we just,
Okay. Okay, all right. So we got the same problem we had with Health and Human Services. We got a document that the editor sent in. Hey, Dan, so we've got a document that you turned in that you guys don't have.
No, not necessarily. So,
Right there.
So what-
Come right here.
so, let me explain. We reviewed the inputs of the ability the time we had. We may have missed some things. And that's why we sent out the treatment to review and let us know if there are changes.
so
It's actually right. See, no, the first port, no, right here, they have, and then they have all this terms, because there's no color change, you can't tell, so it all blurs together. So they have this first portion that we adopted. They just need to strike everything where it says we urge the Texas legislature the second time. So I'm gonna guess the HOA. Correct, but if you look, this is repeating one right here. We urge Texas legislature. It's, well, because we left it in a different color language, and what is black is what we adopted, but because they don't have the color change and they don't have the underline, it's all together. Yes. So all we need is really the first two sentences on the top of what's there.
I've got the last document.
Okay.
Look at it.
We're going to stand at ease for a minute while we sort this out. Dan, bring your computer and come on up.
HOA governance. Yeah, it's not here.
Okay. What,
So
what
this
is the,
part
what is the,
this part's not. That's what he's.
He sent it to me. He did the final editing and sent it to me.
our HOA was
I got it here.